The term double dogs comes from World War I, and it was a term that the Germans gave to the Marines that they faced in France. It's a word that sort of expresses what the Germans saw in the Marines, which is, relentlessness and ferocity, and they terrorized them. Now, it's a term that they use for each other to a certain extent when they're sort of calling each other out. If you're a lance corporal and your pants legs aren't bloused correctly or your shirt isn't buttoned just right, it's something that your sergeant or your staff sergeant is going to come by and call you out and say, what's up, double dog, what's up with your pants? Beginning in May of 2004, I embedded with Marine units deploying to Iraq, specifically the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit. My idea originally with them was to go through their complete tour. The unit crossed into Iraq and was given the Najaf Diwania area of operations. Shortly thereafter, there was a lot of fighting that took place in and around Najaf between the Marines and the Mahdi Army, which is a Shiite militia led by Muqtada al-Sadr. The fighting there lasted the better part of the month and was finally ended when the sort of Shiite religious leader, Grand Ayatollah Ali Sistani, waved his hand and it all went away. I did spend most of the deployment with that unit, but I would go off from time to time to cover other things because most of their time there was very quiet. On occasion, I would go on sort of what I referred to as field trips. So I spent about 5 or 6 weeks in Fallujah, primarily in the time frame right before and right after the assault, so mid-October to the very beginning of December. And that was with the 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines. After my time with them, I returned to Najaf for a while and then went on to Ramadi, which is also another city in the Sunni Triangle, and was there with 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, another Californian unit, for, I guess, about 6 weeks through Christmas and New Year's and on into January.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Clyde, talk me on if I'm off. Bro! Hey, Medina, walk me on. Where do I need to go? At 100! That's my last shot!
One of the first questions I was asked when I joined up with them was by all the guys was, well, how long are you going to be with us? When are you leaving? And the response always was, I'm not going home until you're going home. That made them a lot more comfortable to know that I just wasn't dropping in. I was going to miss Christmas, I was going to miss New Year's, I was going to miss everything just the way they were. And because of that, I was given great access. I could go where I wanted to go, I could do what I wanted to do. If I needed help, they would help me. If there were things that I wanted to see, I would see them. They trusted me, I trusted them. As a photographer, it was an amazing experience because what you really want is to be let into your subjects' lives completely. And I lived with them, I ate with them, I slept with them, I ran with them, whatever it was they did, I was there 24/7. I mean, that's the ideal if you're trying to tell someone's story, is to live as much like them as you can and to be given access as much as you can. All of the sacrifice that people do, all the bravery, all of the bonding, all the camaraderie, all of those things about what warfare can be like, a lot of that is in there. I mean, there's also a lot of terrible things and ugly things and graphic things and disturbing things, but on a human level, when you're with a military unit like that, to go through the being far away from home and the homesickness, but also the danger, it deeply bonds you with the people that you are with. My original idea, my approach to the work was to really focus on the Marines themselves. At the same time, though, combat, warfare, death, fighting, all of that is very real. I ended up in all of the worst places there were during my time there, so I got to see a tremendous amount of fighting relative to a lot of people. And so I was also trying to understand, what does this do to a person? What does it feel like after something's blown up? What does it feel like after you've, frankly killed somebody or seen someone killed? Or what is your response when you're in a place and all of a sudden there are people around you who have been shot or who have died, and you still have a mission to carry out, you still have the people around you that depend upon you. There were guys that everybody thought, oh, this guy's worthless, that ended up being the hero. And there's the guys who everybody thinks is going to be the hero who ends up crouched behind a chair in the back of the room, sort of hiding from the bullets and everybody else is going through the front door. So I was really interested in seeing all that. There's a photograph that I took in Najaf, and it's two Amtrakers, the guys that drive armored personnel carriers, and they're doing backflips in the desert. You know, they're still being sort of young and exuberant at that moment. And then, you know, a week later, they're locked into combat in an enormous cemetery or in destroyed buildings. They had to quickly set aside that sort of youthfulness and then go straight into combat. The most well-known image that I took over there is a photograph of a Marine First Sergeant being carried from a building by two younger Marines, two Lance Corporals. In one hand he still is carrying his pistol, and sort of his lap is full of blood, and he's been shot about 6 or 7 times and absorbed a lot of shrapnel from a hand grenade when he used his body to shield another Marine. Well, one of the other photographs in the show that means a lot to me, there's an image that's taken in Najaf, and it's right at the very end of all of the fighting. And you know, I usually don't go in for portraits as part of my documentation. Sometimes I do, but generally I don't. But it was at the end of the fighting, and I had been with this infantry company, Charlie Company, who sort of adopted me very early on and who I spent most of my time with whenever I was in Najaf. And they'd been in the thick of it with the fighting all through August there. And at the end, they had been assigned to take over 3 or 4 hotels on the edge of the old city in Najaf. And they were assigned to take that position and wait, because they were going to be the ones who, if the Imam Ali Mosque shrine ultimately had to be stormed, they were going to be the guys who had to do it. And right on the very edge of having to storm this place, the peace agreement was come to. And so they won without ever having to go all the way through it. But the commanding officer came to me and said, "Hey, we'd love to get a picture of everybody. Can you do that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, hold on, I got an idea." And so I went and I had the entire company, 156, 160 guys, all stand in all of the windows and all of the doors in these 4 hotels. And so it's stepped way back. And there's a photograph of all of them. I'm incredibly fond of it, not only because of sort of the visual of it, to see all these little faces and all these little guys and all these windows, but it sort of shows to me their need to be sort of recognized for it. You know, this is us, this is all of us. We all did this together, we all want to be in this picture, and we want it to be in a place that means something to us. And I think that's an amazing document of not only that spirit, but that time and that place, and how they see themselves. Homesickness for them it's a constant thing. You can see the letter writing and the email writing and the fact that the internet cafes are packed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Christmas, New Year's, Sunday, whatever. You walk in, there's always going to be a line of guys trying to email their girlfriends or send pictures back to their mothers or see pictures of their babies. One of the interesting things about what the Marines are going through now is that they go and they come back and they go and they come back and they go and they come back. So you go away for 6 months, you're in the invasion, and that's a terribly long time to be gone in a place like that. And you come home for 6 months and you're happy to be home, but you always have that idea that right over the horizon is your return ticket. And then you go back for another 6 months and you come home for 6 months. In my experience, you can't ever really anticipate what it does to your life to always constantly be moving from one place to the next place. I'm back and then I'm gone, and then I'm back and then I'm gone, and never really get moving forward on anything. They talk about being deployed to California. They get deployed to Iraq and they get deployed to California and they get deployed to Iraq and deployed to California, as if it's all just some big constant troop movement where my mission now that I'm in California is to chase girls or play with my baby, and then 6 months from now my mission will be to hunt for IEDs and kick in doors. It's all sort of a continuous flow of things.